Welcome back to the Zay's Woke channel. It's Zay and Chris here. We have another episode of the report card, and today we have Wicked. We have been wanting to see this for a while. All the theaters were filled up with it, so we finally were able to get spots to see it. So we're going to go ahead and give you guys our review of Wicked so that we can go ahead and get into it. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We're going to break it down like we always do. So let's start off with the plot and the storyline. I will say this first. I only know The Wizard of Oz. I only knew The Wizard of Oz. I only knew of Wicked from the play. I never even watched the play at all. So but I did hear of it a lot. So when I did hear about the movie being made, I figured it would be, you know, it's pretty big. Like, I haven't seen anything make a bad version of The Wizard of Oz or what this is of Wicked. So definitely it's a different retelling of the story of the Good Witch as well as the Wicked Witch of the West. So that's pretty much what it is, like kind of like the origin stories before we get into Dorothy and all of them. But yeah, let's just go ahead and go into the plot and storyline.
Or it might be this is what occurs while Dorothy and them are on the road.
I think that's what it also was doing, because of the first shot of the movie. It showed them, so it's like,
on the road together.
Yeah, we're so used to seeing the
ugly red hills.
Exactly, and
clicking in a tornado.
But let's get into it. First off, let's get our thoughts on the plot and storyline. Chris, what'd you think of it? In terms of just like the story, the plot, how it was kind of put together here in the movie.
I think it was very, I like how at the beginning, this has semi-spoilers, but definitely at the very beginning, how it kind of shows, the witch is already dead. It's kind of already letting you know that's the end of her story. Like, it will end that way, and we kind of already know about the Wicked Witch's end anyway. I've only seen The Wizard of Oz and then The Oz with Michael Jackson. Right? Or The Wiz. I said The Oz.
Wiz, The Oz.
Yeah, so it's like, I have seen it. I've only seen those two renditions of it. If there are any more, I'm not quite sure. But I know there's a bunch, because there's so many. It's been going back since like before our parents were born. But I liked the story of it. I was very worried, as you guys already know, 2 hour and up. Oh, like, that's worrisome. And this is a musical. I was worried, but everyone kept saying, they're like, even if you don't like musicals, even if you feel like it's going to be super long, go and see it, go and try it. And they were absolutely right, because it did not feel like at all that it was 2 hours and like 45 minutes. It did not feel close at all. And I was genuinely entertained throughout the whole thing. There was only one song that kind of got on my nerves, but it's just like, after that, it didn't give me a headache. I was shocked. I was relaxed the whole time. And it was just very intriguing to see how, everything played out. Nothing seemed to last too long either. So I liked that. Yeah.
I would say that when it came to its, just the story for how it's told, it's kind of sad that it did open up like how you said. Like, we do know it as the witch is dead, but already, if you've already heard or known of the Wizard of Oz, you already go into this movie with a different perception, because it's like, wait a minute, when I was watching Dorothy and them, shouldn't I be happy? That was the whole point, that was the whole point of it.
What I was gonna say is, ladies, how did you feel about that? Now I can kind of see, are you I think it's Team Glinda, but it's not Team Elfie, is it? I don't think so. I know there was Team Glinda but I don't think it's Elphaba. I don't think it's her, but it might be. But what I was gonna say is just I can see why both of them have, I liked how Glinda, Ariana's character, she was not someone I liked. I didn't like her. I was just like, no, you seem fake. You are kind of one of those pompous girls who gets everything she wants, but she owns it though. That's the thing. She doesn't try to hide it. She doesn't try to hide it and make it seem like, she's not, doing wrong things or being selfish or whatever. The ballroom scene the party scene was amazing, because it showed that was when I first started even looking at Glinda in a positive light. So I'm like, yeah, you wear all this pink, you act like you're the best at everything and whatever, but it's like you treat someone who's different than you horrible. So you're just as bad as everyone. I don't look at you in a high light just because you're a top student or whatever. So, and I do like how also Miss Morrible we love everything everywhere all at once. But it's just, I do like how she also kind of showed, you know, Ariana nothing. Like, you aren't anything. We don't care about you. Like, you're just some girl here, like, at this school. And then the reason why I said girls is because, you know, obviously with Elfie, I'm gonna call her Elfie, it's a little bit easier for me to say. But with Cynthia's character, it's still just like, well, some people might look at her as, you are like someone trying to do positive in the world, but also it's like, were you coming on to a man that you know is with your friend, air quotes, friend? Now, and this is at a time after y'all have talked and she has told you how she felt about the boy too. So it's like, Cynthia, what are we doing? But it's also like, ultimately, I guess you don't have to have any ties to her in order for like the guy, isn't it Guy Fiero or something? Prince Fiero. But ultimately, it's kind of like, oh well, like Cynthia, that's a little dog. That, like you had everyone pass out, but you left him awake. Huh? What were you trying to do when he was awake?
Yeah.
But I thought it was, like I said, it was just a good story. Like, it gave me, like, each time it was something new that kind of all went toward the storyline, as opposed to, like, let's just put all these different plots and then throw it all together. Let's just have big names be in this and throw it all together. But just like how he had said, I've never seen Wicked on Broadway. I always wanted to, but just clearly never had the opportunity to. But they always have said, like, Wicked is, like, that's, like, a lot of people's favorite Broadway. So I'm like, you know, I was just hoping, please don't let it feel too long. And please don't let it be boring in some parts, or don't let it be all singing. And like, because we know Ariana can sing, we know Cynthia can sing, and all these other cast members can too. Well, The Wiz cannot. I'm sorry, you cannot.
But yeah, when it comes to the pacing and the timing of everything, clearly the film, the main story of it is, we're used to seeing this, and I think this is why the characters can be related to. It is just the titular story of like, you're going to a new school. Well, we've seen it before because it's really Nessa who's going to be Elphaba's sister, who's going to the new school. But it really is based around like bullying, feeling accepted, feeling like you can be, you know, feeling like you're not weird or an outcast, and then embracing the fact that you do look a little bit different. I do love the initial story of how we got introduced to Elphaba because of her mom's affair. I like that the movie, the beginning really does hook you in well, because it just tells you, hey, if you've seen none of this type of IP or lore before, it doesn't matter. We're going to give you the rundown of kind of how it's going right now. So those first scenes of Elphaba being made fun of, you get to get introduced to her skin, her powers, you know, and then later on we find out what happened to her sister. I was telling this to Chris in the theaters. I said, this movie does give me a bit of like a Harry Potter feel. Like when you first saw Harry Potter, it builds a magical world very well. And then, like I said, with the pacing, this thing is near 3 hours long. It just didn't feel like that. Every single act felt bigger than the last one, and we really did want to know what was going to happen by the end. But I think because we knew it was a part one, well, I knew it was a part one. Chris didn't know until it literally popped up on the screen.
No, I
and
knew.
said, oh, you did know it's part one. Okay, so you did know it's part one. Yeah, because I figured like I think it gets advertised as just Wicked, but when it says part one, you know by the end of this movie you're like,
No, it usually has part one at the bottom, but not in some of these photos.
Yeah, I was about to say, some of the main promotional trailers, it just says Wicked, but regardless, it is a part one, which means it does have a massive cliffhanger, which is very, very good. But I think that usually movies like that, it can feel like, wow, it can almost feel like, okay, there's a part two of this, but is there needed to be? This is one of those where it's like, yes, because it essentially is, we got the story of Elphaba, and I feel like in the second one, we'll get the story more so of Glinda. Even though we are introduced to Glinda, we know about her. I think she comes across as like the mean girl. We'll talk about Ariana's acting in a moment. But when it came to the pacing and the runtime, I thought they did it well. It was, like I said, it was entertaining, and they did have a boatload of songs in here. They had quite a few, about 12, 11 to 12 of them in the actual movie itself. But really it's 11, but you know, there can be some extra ones in here. But indeed, I would say like overall, it just felt like it was paced well. I felt like the music pushed it along very well, and every time that it felt like the stakes were being raised, something else was being revealed that made you care about our characters more. It felt centered on Elphaba and Glinda the entire time. No matter what else was going on, Prince Fiero or the Wiz or the Wiz or even the goat teacher. There's other like kind of side stories. You know, the other, you know, goat professor. It really does feel like, no, the lens is on these two the entire time. So I really did love that about them. Obviously, Chris talked about her favorite scene. It was one of my favorite scenes. I think that it really does tie the movie very well together, was the ballroom scene of just... It's so hard to talk about it without like saying every single moment, but I think the ballroom scene is like the real middle of the movie, and it captures a lot of what...
feel like it.
Exactly. It's so in the middle, and I can see why they used it for the trailer so much, because Elphaba's character at that point has been dragged through the mud, made fun of. People don't really like her. Her dad hates her, of course, even though the dad was like, hey, well,
Sister
you
is
really
fake.
should have been... Yeah, the sister's another thing. Is like, Nessa, we know you can't get up and stand... We know you can't get up and stand and dance with your sister. You can't physically do that because of the milkweeds, and we get it. Something that Elphaba still feels bad about.
It's one of those things though where Nessa, I personally don't like Nessa because I feel like you're never truly there for your sister how she has been for you, because like people have tormented her just a little, not as much obviously as Elphaba, but what I will say is just I just feel like that's still your sister at the end of the day, and she's done so much for you. But I do also see where she's like, I just want a star. Like, I don't want to be your little sister. I don't want to be the green girl sister. I don't want to be, oh, you're that weirdo sister. Like, I just want to be Nessa Rose for once. So I can totally understand that, especially being a younger sibling. And then also with like Elphaba though, like, but you do know, Nessa, that your sister's coming from such a sweet place. But it's also like the powers kind of differentiate, you know, it's like she doesn't want people to get murked because you're upset at the fact someone's pushing me. But also it does show, there was a scene at the beginning where Elphaba was like telling her like, no, let her do it herself, you know, like she can do it on her own. And then like the lady wasn't letting her, and then she like, you know, exploded and clearly caused a ruckus. But
and like I said, even when it comes to all the side characters, all the background characters, they really don't come across as background characters. Everyone enhances what they need to do. Of course, you know, Michelle Yeoh's fantastic. I think that she really did push the plot along, because her introduction was so nice. How Elphaba's, you know, anger about, you know, leave my sister alone, I got it, that causes her to throw some stuff around. Madame Morble comes in just telling everybody, oh, you like that little trick I did? Be prepared. Like kind of saving face, covering for her, even though you realize it's really because she wants to, she's like, oh, she's powerful enough to be the Wiz's like toy, essentially. Kind of like she can do all the magic while the Wiz is in the back pulling the strings, as we all know that he normally does. But like I said, getting into the music of it really quick, my favorite song's The Wizard and I figured that Cynthia would have my favorite song. It's nice to hear in this musical, because I get, now we've watched a few musicals and I can see how it can be an annoyance. It can feel like, okay, this doesn't need to be sung. I feel like with this movie it makes sense that it's a musical, because it goes along with like that magical atmosphere of like, okay, they got to get this out. They're kind of belting these kind of lines out. But I really did like The Wizard and I, because it pretty much was a foreshadowing of what was going to happen to her.
Yeah,
like saying like the lyrics were really, really good. Like things of, you know, like having the water thrown on her, being accepted, and it's really good. It's a really well put together
and how
piece.
They have like from the very beginning, they have her end all throughout it, like the things she says, like she's like she goes, don't want, like Michelle, she had said, don't want you to melt now because it was raining, and like it's so, that's why I'm like, oh, this is so like kind of sad, because we know how it ends, but it's just like, it sucks because like we're rooting for Cynthia, like Elphaba, and it's just like, damn, like
to just be accepted into Shiz. And you know, it's just like I said, the world building is so funny. Like I like it. I like like I said, I gotta give praise to the department that puts together the sets, to everyone who put together their makeup and clothes. They killed it. Like they look For the first time in a while, it really does feel like, oh, we actually are in the Wizard of Oz. Like, this is Oz. And even when they go to Emerald City, I love the color change. I love that Elphaba went from sticking out in shiz because of her green skin to when they go to the Emerald City, she fits right in. Like, everything's green. So, and then if anything, it's like Glinda sticks out. But just to kind of progress things forward, the third act was very strong. There's another subplot of the animals who teach it shiz. They're beginning to lose their voices, and so they're being like caged up. Like all animals, they're being like caged up and put away, and Elphaba's fighting for them, and she finally learns out that it's the Wiz that's up to this, you know, and so, but it's for the protection of the people of Oz.
Because what brings people closer together? A
common enemy, which is like I said, very, very good themes that are thrown throughout the movie, and I think Jeff Goldblum did a good job of acting as the Wiz. Singing wise, Jeff, let's be real here. Anyways, but when it comes to that, I really did like that third act. From the moment that they arrived to Emerald City, and she tried to, and like, of course, they explained the book, and the Wiz like showed his mechanics, and it kind of rushed the part that you're used to in the normal Wizard of Oz, which is like, oh, you're not magical at all. Like, you actually are, but it's just a dude behind the curtain. Like, I love that it's the same thing, but it feels grander here because of all the buildup of him being like, maybe you can be with me up in here one day, and like, but it makes so much
Michelle
sense.
Does it too.
Exactly.
Michelle talks him up so much.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, everybody's building her up to be like, you know, you're great. Now you can read it, and then, you know, and then you end up throwing these wings on a monkey because the Wiz said.
And I totally forgot, guys, that there were flying monkeys, because literally I was just like, oh, like, and then he had told me in the movie, he was like, you don't remember her flying monkeys? This is how she gets her flying monkeys. And I said, huh? She has flying monkeys?
Yeah, because she's actually magical. So Elphaba is actually the magical sorcerer that can actually like read the book, and she really should be the Wiz, like based on the tales that they say, because the Wiz is the one who's like, he can read the book and everything. But like I said, I love that the movie even made fun of that. That's what I told you when she went into Emerald City, they said, here's the totally true story of the Wiz. Like, I like that the movie found a way to poke fun at the original source material, but also give you something fresh and brand new. But I don't think we've done enough justice to just the acting in this movie, because that's where it really shines. Of course, Chris, you know, is a fan of Ariana Grande, has been a fan of Ariana Grande as musician. So I gotta ask you this. I know that you've seen her act in Victorious, but this is like, oh, here's a big feature film for you to be in, and you're not just singing the whole time, she's acting. How'd she do to you in this one?
I think she did great. I wasn't, like I said, I never felt that she was ever a bad actress. She has all, like I said, she is kind of playing, I'm not going to say she's playing someone like Cat Valentine, because Cat Valentine isn't like Glinda, but they are kind of ditzy, right? Like, they are little like ditzy, super girly girls. So I think she did phenomenal. I was really just more intrigued to see Cynthia, because like I said, I've already seen Ariana act. So I was like, Ariana will hold up to the plate, because Ariana will put everything into her work, something she has to work on, maybe. So I just really was excited to see Cynthia, because I have never seen Cynthia in anything. I know that she was known already before this, so I really wanted to see her performance. I think everyone held up their own very well. Nessa Rose, I don't know.
I think Cynthia, like, this was her. Like, as big as a star as Ariana was, like, this was, it felt like Cynthia's show.
Yeah, because Cynthia ultimately made me feel bad for the witch, and we've always seen the witch portrayed as someone so horrible, so rotten, and it's like, and I told him at the end of the movie, I said, there's a reason why people get that way, and so now we finally get to see that reason.
Exactly, what pushes them that far, and
to like hate and be so cruel and mean, and like, you know, like what happens.
And the Defying Gravity song was amazing too. It's the one where she's screaming in it at the end, and I think the build up to that, even it felt like when we were watching Cynthia act, and when we were watching everybody come together, whether it was Michelle Yeoh, whether it was Jonathan Bailey playing Prince Fiera, which was nice. I liked him. He was chill. He didn't seem like this jerk he didn't seem like the titular prince who's like, I'm gonna be a jerk and I'm just gonna pick this woman because I have to, because she looks nice. No, like, he, even when, of course, you said it before, he wasn't knocked out in the in the lecture in the classroom when they were going to save the cub from the cage. He wasn't knocked out for a reason. I was sitting there thinking, is he magical?
He immune? Yeah, is he immune?
That was funny. Really, it was just Elphaba. It was just Elphaba being like, no, like, I just wanted to see kind of like what decision you would make. I think that he's a very reasonable, common sense kind of guy, and he actually had some pretty funny moments. I like how you can see his shift from being all over like Glinda and like the attention that he kind of get from her, and almost playing that hard to get, like, oh, I know she wants me, to now he's distracted by Elphaba, to where Glinda's like,
I feel like
he's not even paying attention to me, and then he just walks off and leaves her, and she's like, see, like, those are funny moments.
I feel like
think
he always
well.
liked Cynthia more, and then like you had said, then he started like kind of playing with Glinda in terms of like, oh, like this is the easier option. Like, she wants me, I know she does, and it's like, this is more accepting as opposing to me being with a green girl, you know.
Exactly.
Then,
But
yeah.
I think he learned like he didn't. It's not like he didn't care, but it's almost like he got close to being like, I don't really care if I'm with the green girl or whatnot. But I think they all did. Well. Cynthia, she got a tear actually. Well, really, it was Cynthia and Ariana. They both got a tear out of me. Love their scene. Were a little bit past the dance hall scene. They actually do become friends for the first time, and they're doing each other's hair and the makeup and whatnot. And I just think it's Elphaba looking herself in the mirror, and Glinda being the one who tells her you're beautiful. Like, of all the people who tells you you're beautiful, not your sister, she hadn't said it. Definitely the father wasn't going to say it. Madame Warble, her mom's gone. Madame Warble, she just wants to see your power. So for the woman who you're kind of beefing with to tell you you're beautiful, and then for her to cry, I thought that was a beautiful moment. It was very well done. Like I said, they're both great in the movie, but shout out to everyone else who did a great job. I like Jeff as the wizard. He came across like almost like a business tycoon. Yeah. Like, you know, like, oh, this is something I can profit off of. But I like how he wasn't ashamed that he couldn't read the book. It was kind of like, okay, cool, the secret's out. You know, you can still, you know, it's kind of like we can move forward from this. Hey, let her get her bearings. She'll be with us, you know, and then. But really, it's Elphaba. You know, I mean, like that. Like I said, the last act, her getting the broom, learning the levitation spell, little things like that. They didn't just throw it at her like, oh, she's just powerful now. She has the broom. I like that they used the levitation wing spell with the monkey to kind of be like, where's your wings? No, what she needed was actually like the broom. Like, it makes sense how her powers work from the book, instead of just saying, here's the Wicked Witch of the West, you know her, just go with that. And
it shows how she got her whole costume and stuff. Glinda had put it on her.
I love that. The hat and the cape. Yep. She gave it to her. And then, like I said, that last scene of them looking at each other, just like, you can join me, but then Glinda...
It's just like...
No, like I gotta... Because what we say, you were gonna be in her shadow, and you would be known as these two people left, but
these two runaways.
Really but who's the powerful one? But anyways, like we said, they did a great job. I really can't give enough praise to both Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Probably pronounced the name wrong. Excuse me if I don't. But I think they did a great job. Can't wait for part 2 of it. Excuse me if I did. But can't wait for part 2 of it. And not gonna lie to you, before part 2 comes out, like, definitely will rewatch this one going into part 2, because like I said, the music is great, and there's a couple of songs I definitely wouldn't mind listening to again. But like I said, it's how everything looks. You can tell after so long of us kind of seeing Hollywood not give their all towards a big budget film, and you can see how many advertisements and commercials this gets. You would think, is it overhyped? You know, I see this thing everywhere. Is it as great as it is? Yes. You don't have to know what the Wizard of Oz is. You don't even have to understand anything about whatever. Like, you could literally know nothing about it all. But by the time you're done with this, you're like, I got to see how this ends. And I got to see, why did they really kill her? You know, like, why did they really take... Why did they unalive her? But yes, I really felt like they knocked it out the park with this one.
And, I already have my little speculations for the next one, just because we have not seen the Broadway play, so I do not know. But definitely I already told him, some of my, things of what I think is going to happen.
Theories, because most of mine, pretty much all mine came true in the first one. And that's another thing. This can work great as just a part, just like a movie. Like, it doesn't need to have a part 2. Like, we kind of have everything explained to us, but it's great. With that being said, let's go ahead and give you guys our official rating of the movie. We ended up giving Wicked a solid A. We actually ended up giving it an A. It is amazing. Like we said, it is great. Highly would suggest to see it in theaters. I think that it builds the world a little bit better when you do get to see it in theaters. And yeah, like I said, it's great. Really can't wait for the second one. Any last thoughts?
So why didn't you give it an S?
The only reason why I'd say it can't be given a top tier, top tiers are very hard to get. I would say there's about 2 songs in here that I felt like kind of dragged it a bit. I wasn't a fan of the Dancing Through Life song that Jonathan Bailey had when he first kind of arrived there. Yeah, and then I was not a fan of the song with the animals. I felt like here you go laughing. See, look, the animals are great. I thought that Peter Dinklage did a great job as Dr. Dillerman. Like I said, Dr. Dillerman was such an endearing character as an animal. I'm glad they didn't have a lot of them because you have so many people in the movie. It's like I don't want to balance all the people and the animals. Like I said, it's very hard to do that without it being a series and just being a 2-hour movie. But I just felt like their song kind of wasn't necessary. And also, maybe it is because it's a part 1. I felt like maybe not enough attention was put onto their plot line, but that did feel like the only thing that was like, oh yeah, remember we're doing this too, instead of like, it's really Elphaba going to the Wiz. Like, that was really the main story of like Elphaba's. So like the animal stuff, I liked how it tuned into there, but like I said, nitpicky things. S's are very, very top ranked, so who knows, we could change our opinions by part 2, but I felt like it didn't have all the songs in there that I was thinking, oh yeah, there are a couple that I'd be like, we got to skip this part.
Did you get Vacancy an S?
Vacancy makes it into
you say that about every movie I say.
Yeah, Vacancy ended up getting an S, but like I said, it was yeah, like I said, if you change your opinion, we can change it to an S right now, but
no.
Okay. All right. Any reason why I didn't get an S for you?
Yeah, only reason why is just because like the men were giving me a headache a little bit, and the Oz really ruined it. Now, honestly, up until when we met the Oz and he started singing, I might have gave it an S. When he sang, I said, yeah, that's enough.
Just a sentimental man.
That's enough.
Was not a fan of that one,
And I would have definitely given it an S if it had made me cry, but I'm so shocked, y'all. I did not cry.
The people in our theater is the reason why she didn't cry.
Oh, and that's probably why too. Yeah. I felt like maybe if I had seen this, so basically at the movie theater, I was next to some kids, because like we said, y'all, like we finally got a showing that wasn't at 9, 10 o'clock at night. So we went to one that was at 6. And so, or was it even at 6? No, it was at like 3 or 4 or something. Yeah, it was at 4.
It was at 4:15.
And so, literally, there were some kids next to me. First of all, y'all, ruined Defying Gravity. They started screaming in the middle of it.
Like her big note that she yells in the trailer, they were screaming it and they were louder, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
One of them kicked me. That was really cute. One of them started farting. That was really cute. And then, like I said, they were talking. Now, granted, I can sleep through noise. Or I can sleep with noise going on behind me. So I'm not someone who it needs to be dead silent for me to do anything besides reading. I do like it being quiet when I'm reading, depending on what it is. But ultimately, they kind of ruined a little bit of it because they were talking, and I mean, y'all, throughout the entire film. I think they gave me maybe the first 20 minutes. The rest of the time, they were talking throughout it. I could ignore it, but I'm just like, and then plus what made it even worse, y'all, is that there were like 3 kids. You can tell it probably was like a play date, or maybe they were off school, whatever the case is. And then it's like, and then like the mom or whatever was right there too, but she was kind of holding on to the baby. So it's kind of like the baby was good. The baby was good. And I don't know what went on with the other 3, but they were yelling the entire, like I said, and they weren't quiet. They were like, like they were loud. I was okay. I don't know if this is, maybe that was their second or third time seeing the film. It was our first. So for me, it was just kind of like, okay, like you guys can kind of be quiet. Like I'm very confused, but that's another reason why I was so happy that the film didn't feel long, because of all that going on. I'm gonna have to say something, because like at this point y'all are like talking throughout the whole fucking thing, and I was still expecting like an hour or 2 to be like going on after Defying Gravity. But then when it ended, I said, oh, perfect. But next time definitely we'll make sure, you know, that hopefully we just do not be next. We want to see it way earlier so no one can, no type of Wakanda forever. Like, I just, no. I just can't. Like, the kids almost kind of ruined the entire fucking thing. Because I'm like, why are you guys talking so much? Please be quiet. But, yeah.
That was our theater experience. And that is going to conclude our review of Wicked. And so, we appreciate you guys for tuning into the channel. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.